What is up? Welcome back to the second installment of the Mystery Mark podcast. It returns. Today we're going to be talking about how Margaret Atwood, you know her, makes me understand and appreciate the works of Shakespeare. We also know who that is, and vice versa, it goes both ways. Margaret Atwood provides a deeper appreciation of Shakespeare, and it's demonstrated by the themes she presents from a differing perspective and a 21st century context. Shakespeare also provides us with an understanding of Atwood as an appropriator and betters our understanding of her purposes. So our first point is how Atwood reverses grains of Shakespeare's values within The Tempest. So within The Tempest, Shakespeare builds a character of Miranda that fills the societal constructs of the time, and that's generally overlooked as just being a part of Shakespeare's context, but really he was quite progressive, which we'll find out about. So the etymology of Miranda actually means a wonder to look at in Latin, and this is deliberate by Shakespeare. It helps foreshadow her relationship with the men that come into her life, because they all refer to her as beautiful and, throughout the show. So Miranda in The Tempest versus Anne-Marie in Hagseed. So Miranda fulfills the expected role of a woman at that time in the context, and she's completely reliant on her father, and later in the production, Ferdinand. Whereas Anne-Marie is strong, confident, and independent. She is no-nonsense and outgoing. So that makes us think, well, where did Anne-Marie come from? How can we have two opposite characters, but one has been appropriated from the other? So we get it from Act 3, Scene 1, where Miranda implicitly suggests that she may be physically stronger than Ferdinand, and she suggests that she has some sort of independence. So she says to Ferdinand, "If you'll sit down, I'll bear your logs the while. Pray give me that, I'll carry it to the pile." Where this is contrasted by the reality of her prison and complete dependence on her father. But we find that Margaret Atwood chose to take that implicit suggestion of physical and mental toughness and turned it into a character who contains those qualities and is independent in herself. So what's that tell us? That tells us that Margaret Atwood, it tells us about Margaret Atwood as an appropriator and the processes involved with how she appropriated The Tempest. It also gives us a better understanding of what Atwood values as an appropriator and what she defines as important. In terms of Shakespeare, it helps us understand the progressive attitudes that Shakespeare had, which are often displayed in most of his other works, while he maintained a socially acceptable role for a woman in that play of that time. And that brings us to our station sponsor. And this week it comes from HP Laptops. Do you need something as useful as me in your life, but it's online? Consider a HP. Do you need something in your life that does less work than me? Consider HP. Thank you to our lovely station sponsor, HP Laptops. Just for the record, this is not a paid promotion. These are completely my own opinions. I would recommend you go check them out for yourself. Continuing on with the podcast. So our third point is that studying Shakespeare gives us a better understanding of Atwood's purpose as an appropriator. So Atwood uses metafiction, which is a story written about a story, to give the reader an insight into her motivations behind the appropriation. So when Tony suggests to Felix at the beginning of Hagseed, "I feel you're losing, your edge," this can be seen and interpreted as Margaret Margaret Atwood sending a message that she feels there is a need for a renewal of Shakespeare. And Atwood effectively achieves this in her appropriation to compensate for a changing society. So Atwood provides the original story with a foundation of modern day elements, which increases the overall understanding of The Tempest. So our fourth point is that modern context and of historical motifs remain similar regardless of context. Atwood believes that the past is powerfully present. So Atwood's adaptation of The Tempest still maintains some strong values of the text. When Prospero says, "At this hour lie at my mercy all mine enemies, surely shall all my labours end, and thou shalt have the air of freedom. For a little follow, and do me a service." This displays compassion for those in a similar prison to the one he is in himself, via their own faults and mistakes. Prospero displays empathetic traits, and Atwood believes that this should remain prominent in today's society. So this exposes some of Atwood's values in appropriating The Tempest, like having empathy and displaying compassion, and having other values in today's society that may have been lost, or she feels that may have been lost. So in conclusion, Atwood and Shakespeare's text go hand in hand to provide the reader with a deeper understanding of the other text. While both texts stand alone, both extend the appreciation for the other when explored together, and examining the appropriation in comparing the context and historical motifs from each text. Thank you for listening to the Mystery Night podcast. See you for episode 3.